It is Monday, August 3rd, 2020, and this is your Three Gorges Dam update. We've got 4 articles we're going to get into today, including 2 about the dam, which we're going to continue to update every day, and then a couple about some developing situations in China. First, courtesy of Maritime Executive, China's giant Three Gorges Dam faces major test. Next, courtesy of China.org, China mitigates economic losses despite severe flooding. Then a couple of developing stories. Severe tropical storm Hagupit on a crash course with eastern China. And last but not least, courtesy of Forbes, as mountain standoff with India continues, China stages bombers and cruise missiles. We also have some new Twitter footage playing in the background of today's video. Let's hop into it. And a quick update on the status of the water level at the dam before we get started. The current water level at the Three Gorges Dam is 161.02 meters. The current inflow at the dam is 34,000 cubic meters per second, and the dam is discharging at 34.6 thousand cubic meters per second. It is worth noting that these numbers are released by the CCP. Now, our first article of the day is courtesy of Maritime Executive. China's giant Three Gorges Dam faces major test. And I'm going to jump ahead to the part of the article where the recent issues at the dam are covered. Sustained torrential rains have caused extensive flooding in central China in recent weeks. Nightmare memories have been revived of 1998 when severe floods left more than 4,000 people dead and caused extensive economic damage. Thousands of People's Liberation Army soldiers have been sent to the Yangtze River Basin to provide emergency services, to build dikes, enforce embankments, and dig channels to release water. In response to the buildup of floodwaters upstream, authorities have been discharging large amounts of water from the dam. The swell of water caused by upstream flooding reached 55,000 cubic meters per second late last week, exceeding the official warning level of 50,000 cubic meters. The emergency discharges have inevitably exacerbated flooding in areas downstream from the dam. Massive flooding along the Yangtze is nothing new for China. In 1931, more than 3 million people died during a huge flood in one of the worst natural disasters of the 20th century. The current situation is the first major test that the Three Gorges Dam has been put to. There is no reason to think that the structure of the dam itself is under threat. The dam was designed to help cope with floods along the Yangtze. Nevertheless, it is safe to assume that the Chinese government is monitoring the situation nervously, hoping that the emergency will soon pass. The Three Gorges Dam has been a major showcase project for China. China's proud reputation as a global supplier of high-quality infrastructure is now at stake, as the reliability of the Three Gorges Dam is being put to the test. Moving on to our next article, courtesy of China.org. China mitigates economic losses despite severe flooding. China is currently experiencing a major period of rainfall. Since June, areas from the southwest regions to the middle and lower reaches of the Yangtze have been hit by serious flooding, endangering both people's property and their lives, also affecting production. The article then goes on to update the official numbers from the CCP. According to the latest data released by the Ministry of Emergency Management, from June 1st to July 22nd, the floods have affected more than 45 million people across 27 provincial regions. 142 people have died or are missing, and 3.2 million people have been evacuated and urgently resettled. In terms of material losses, 35,000 buildings have collapsed and 308,000 suffered damage. Over 4.35 million hectares of farmland have been flooded, and direct economic losses reached 116 billion yuan. At the same time, additional data shows that compared with the same period in the past 5 years, the average number of those affected by flooding increased by 7.4%, while emergency resettlement increased by 19.6%. Incidents of deaths and missing persons dropped by 56.5%, and there was a decrease of 72.4% in building collapses, and direct economic losses were down 5%. Natural disasters are a frequent occurrence in China. The weather just so happened to be particularly bad this year. Consequently, there has been serious flooding, said Yang Xiaodong, Deputy Director of Disaster Relief at MEM. In addition, decreases in the numbers of collapsed buildings, deaths, and missing persons show that China's disaster prevention and relief abilities have been enhanced, and the relief work has achieved remarkable results. And before we move on, I just want to point out that his statements differ from videos and reports from citizens on the ground. To fight the flooding, the MEM has stood by the principle of prioritizing people's lives, assigning 11,500 fire and rescue workers to join the relief work. Together with local primary level officials, the People's Liberation Army, the Armed Police Force, and militias have rescued and transferred a large number of people threatened by flooding. And once again, Some of that article differs from reports by citizens on the ground. Moving on. Thank you for watching this video. If you're finding it informative, please consider giving the channel a subscribe. And this comes courtesy of yahoo.com. Severe tropical storm Hagupit on crash course with eastern China. And this news adds yet another layer to China's ongoing issues. A tropical disturbance that began to organize in the Philippine Sea late last week quickly strengthened into a tropical storm late Saturday night local time and was given the name Hagupit by the Japan Meteorological Agency. This satellite image captures severe tropical storm Hagupit spinning just east of Taiwan on Sunday night. By Sunday night, Hagupit strengthened into a severe tropical storm with sustained winds near 105 kilometers per hour. There is still potential for Hagupit to strengthen into a typhoon as it moves into the warm waters of the East China Sea and remains in an area of low wind shear into Monday. Time spent as a typhoon is expected to be short-lived as wind shear increases and the storm begins to interact with land late in the day on Monday. Conditions will deteriorate along the coasts of Zhejiang and Fujian, China throughout the day on Monday as Hagupit approaches the coast. Hagupit is forecast to make landfall near the border of these two provinces as a severe tropical storm on Monday night. Wind gusts of 95 to 110 kilometers per hour are forecast near and to the east of where Hagupit makes landfall, with an AccuWeather local storm max of 130 kilometers per hour possible near the center of the storm. Strong winds and the forward motion of the storm will drive seawaters inland across exposed beaches. Along the center of the eye path, rainfall totals can reach 100 to 200 millimeters with a potential for an AccuWeather local storm max of 250 millimeters in the rugged terrain. Flash flooding will be likely along where Hagupit tracks, as much of the area received historical rainfall throughout the rainy season. Hagupit is forecast to quickly lose intensity throughout the day on Tuesday, as it tracks over the mountainous terrain of eastern China and is pulled north by a non-tropical system over northern China. China has been plagued by disasters, and the subtle undertones of war are also simmering to the surface. Moving on. And this comes courtesy of Forbes.com. As mountain standoff with India continues, China stages bombers and cruise missiles. The Chinese Air Force apparently has deployed bombers to an airbase in the country's far west, placing the warplanes within striking distance of Indian forces along the disputed Chinese-Indian border in the Himalayas. Twitter user @DetResfa, a so-called open-source intelligence practitioner, noted commercial satellite imagery depicting 6 H-6 bombers on the tarmac at Kashgar Airport in the Uyghur Autonomous Region of Xinjiang. Kashgar lies around 500 miles from Ladakh, the region of northern India along which runs the line of actual control, the demarcation between Indian and Chinese forces in the Himalayas. In early June, Chinese forces killed 20 Indian soldiers in a skirmish along the line of actual control. 43 Chinese soldiers also were injured or died, according to press reports. Indian and Chinese warplanes and helicopters are patrolling the border zone as the standoff continues. India has deployed MiG-29 and MiG-29K fighters. Satellite imagery depicts Chinese Air Force J-16 fighters sharing the tarmac with H-6s at Kashgar. The satellite photos of the bombers appear to depict what aviation expert Andreas Ruprecht surmised to be KD-63 land attack cruise missiles under the H-6's wings. The KD-63 boasts a range of around 125 miles. India and China's bases near the line of actual control lie many thousands of feet above sea level. Kashgar is situated an eye-watering 14,500 feet above sea level, and we'll keep an eye on this story as it develops. And starting in the near future, along with the updates on the Three Gorges Dam and China's historic flooding, we're going to start covering international stories that aren't getting enough attention in the mainstream media. And I think this is a good place to wrap up today's video. I hope that you found it informative, and check back soon for more content.